I know, I've probably started half my videos like this, but Scott Cawthon, creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, was initially inspired to create the titular animatronic horror game when seeing reviews of some of his previous work, essentially saying it was terrifying.
This is a trailer for Chipper & Sons Lumber Company on Steam Greenlight. Terrifying.
The movements of the characters from his previous work were robotic and their faces just had this off look about them. And the rest was history. That being said, most people associate this origin story with Cawthon's game Chipper & Sons Lumber Company, and while that may be what directly inspired the titan Fnaf has become today, I was drawn to some of Scott's earlier work. For those who don't know, Scott was always a game developer, but parallel to that, he was an animator for a while. And through a Christian group called Hope Animation, he released a 2005 film called Noah's Ark, Story of the Biblical Flood. I don't know why, but I swear I do not see enough people talking about this. Up until a little more recently, devoted Christians weren't typically associated with horror in any way. Now, because of characters like Wendigoon, this barrier has been broken, but 11 years ago, it was so much less common to see someone transition from faith-based content to horror content. I'm sure someone will list some obscure creators that I'm missing in the comments, but by and large, this was the case. All that being said, yes, Mr. Fnaf himself used to be Mr. Bible. And honestly, I thought this would be an easy video. Look at someone's early work, poke some well-meaning fun, profit. But this runs just a bit deeper than I thought. I didn't realize just how prevalent aspects of Cawthon's future work would be in a film he created a full decade prior. Purple guy! So, is this the butterfly effect added again? The tiny, minuscule flood that killed almost every living thing on the planet, gone to inspire something even more destructive? Fnaf. Or do these two things have nothing in relation, and a hopeless YouTube gremlin is just using them for clicks? So the movie starts with this slightly ominous Bible verse, Genesis chapter 6 verse 7, and the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. And look, that's what it says and that's what happened, but I mean, it's like a 2004 animated kids movie and I just wasn't expecting that. It would be like if Where's God When I'm Scared, the VeggieTales episode, started with Psalms 58:6. Break the teeth in their mouths, O God. Lord, tear out the fangs of those lions. It's just weird that a kids movie chose that direction, but it's accurate, so nothing wrong there. Then we fade to the opening cinematic in which a man sees a dead body. This scared the crap out of me. Honestly, I've seen this movie twice to do this video, and I did not see it the first time, so I thought it changed or something, or I was just seeing the wrong thing. But no, it's in the movie. There's a guy dead in the snow. Then the guy looking at the body leaves and finds the ruins of the Ark, which would certainly be gone by now, but it's preserved in like two perfect pieces. But he goes and camps in the Ark, and we get to that's where the movie starts. Then we fade a second time to 2400 BC, I think, and Moses is praying. And he's getting some weird prayer. Ooh, I wonder what that could be. I hope it's not a biblical flood. And we get this shot of his stupid son, who pisses me off. I hate his son. He's chasing a butterfly, and he catches a glimpse of how evil the modern world is. And by how evil, it's like there's a lot of smokestacks in this old town. And Moses says, stop, you can't go there. This movie has a problem with trying to make people look really evil while also trying to be kid-friendly. According to the Bible and actual biblical historians, the kind of stuff that would have had to have been going on back then wouldn't have just been like too much smoke in the sky, it would have been pretty messed up. Then Noah's sitting with his family for dinner and he's confessing to his wife that God is angry. We get this stupid shot of his stupid son eating peas. I hate his stupid son. His son's pissing me off. Then there's a very ominous scene where Noah can't sleep. His eyes are just dead open in the middle of the night in this very harsh lighting. And then for several minutes, he is given the plans for the Ark and he has a vision of what's gonna happen. Another thing I want to point out is there's a lot of exposition scenes where it cuts from the actual animation to just like a slideshow of stuff that's happening. And there's a guy talking saying like, now Noah has the Ark plans. And I think the guy saying that stuff is Scott. So it's just funny to hear phone guy talking about the biblical flood. Then we get to see the Ark being built, and it's too long. This scene's too long. One thing I noticed when watching this film is a lot of it is just not talking montages. If all of those scenes were taken out of the movie, if it was just dialogue, it'd probably be like 5 minutes. There's also a few shots during the montage where they show Moses' wife pregnant, and the first time she's happy about it. She's like, oh, our second son, because they already have one. And then they show her being pregnant again, and she's like pissed off. Like, I don't know why they put that in, but it's funny. And now the ark is complete, and Moses is he's old guy, and all of his kids are grown up. So as Noah is looking at the ark and is just kind of basking in the literally hundreds of years of work that he put into this thing, one of the townspeople comes up and starts telling him that the ark is become like a sightseeing attraction and that multiple people in the town make a living off of keeping lodging so people can come around the world to see it. And then he asks if he can own the ark. Like, I don't know. He doesn't offer to buy it. He basically says, give it to me. I don't know what the point of that was, but it's silly. Before we continue, I first need to dedicate some time to my pals at Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Over 2.9 billion with a B records were stolen from national public data recently, allowing vital pieces of personal information such as your full name, address, date of birth, phone number, and even social security number to end up there on the interwebs for evil people to get. Yeah, you get it. But fret not, today's sponsor, Aura, monitors your personal data across billions of data points, like the dark web and public court records, to detect and alert you to potential identity theft. They give you up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst case scenario happen, and they also provide a bunch of other features to keep you safe online, all inside one convenient app. You can go to my link at aura.com/whoknowswhat to try a 14-day free trial, which is more than enough time for Aura to check if your information is at risk. Again, that's aura.com/whoknowswhat for a free trial. Go now. Thanks to Aura for sponsoring my insanity. Back to the ark. So at this point, I'm getting tired of all the montages, but we have another one of all the animals getting the calling from God to come get on the ark. It's time. And once Noah and his family see that the animals are getting on the ark, they finally realize it might be time to actually get on this thing. And then there's an actual attempt at a joke.
Look at all of the animals. Does this mean that it's almost time for us to get on the ark too? What? Right now? Can I eat first? Sandwich?
So, as they're getting on the ark, one of Noah's sons sees a sleeping rabbit and tries to bring it on the ark, but he's stopped because that rabbit was not called. Now all the animals on Earth are sleeping. That's what that was to show us. And is that biblically accurate? I'm gonna look that up. Okay, I looked it up and I'm not seeing anything about that, so I'm just gonna assume that Scott Cawthon put that in the movie to make children not feel as bad about all the animals drowning, which, like, it's fair. Although, to be honest, I say that now, but some later scenes will make me think that that's not the case. Anyway, they finally get all on the ark, and they're asking if we should find out. They're like, how are we going to close this huge door? And one of the scariest scenes in the movie happens.
Oh, no, you don't. The last thing we need is another rat on the...
Okay, I'm sure it's not actually that scary, but for some reason, just the harsh lighting and the loud noise and the abrupt closing of the door really caught me off guard when I was watching this movie at night, okay? So after the door's been closed and the ark is ready, nothing happens for a little bit, and one of the townspeople kind of walks up and is like, haha, oh no, guys, please help, there's a flood. Not really. Then, you know, he gets his comeuppance. Another montage where the flood starts and it's long again. And we watch a bunch of people die. Like actual human beings drown on camera. Okay, not really. They like go underwater and then we don't like watch them. We don't watch the air leave their lungs, but I mean, come on, Scott. And then another dialogue-less compilation, this time of life on the ark after the flood has caused the earth to be completely submerged. So one thing you may not realize, this movie's about 50 minutes, and at this point we were already about 40 minutes into the movie, and most of it has just been slow compilations. Now, don't get me wrong, this movie's cute, but I'm starting to get bored. But don't worry, Scott takes good care of us. Scott takes good care of us. We got like 2 lines of dialogue coming up. We see the sea life doing good. I mean, obviously it's water. And then one of Noah's sons is trying to feed a turtle, but like by hand. And he like, for some reason he has to do it by hand. And he starts to kind of bully the turtle because it won't eat, but he can't just leave the food in the cage. I don't know, whatever. And then there's this funny scene. Noah's son smells shit.
One bucket is for food, the other is for poop. What are you feeding these animals anyway?
Wrong bucket, dear.
Yeah.
So one of Noah's sons lets him know that they're actually running low on supplies. He's like, I'm not believing, just we're running low on supplies. And like literally moments later they hit land. And staying consistent with the actual biblical flood story, Noah lets a dove go to see if there's any dry land. And when the dove never comes back, he realizes it's probably nested and it's time to get off the ark. So at that point, they get off the ark and they see the world renewed, and everything up until the end is pretty much just biblically accurate. It's the same as the normal ark story. We see Noah pray with his son and the rainbow from the story and, you know, all that beautiful stuff. And that's the end of the ark story. But then we come back to modern day. For some reason, we come back to the random guy who's camping out on the ark. We're not sure who the guy is, but he leaves the ark and that's it. That's the whole reason that was there, was just to show the ark now, I guess. This movie, as much as I like to poke fun at his stupid, dumb, idiot son and how silly the animation is and all the weird, wacky stuff, it's just absolutely adorable. But as this thought entered my mind, I realized the credits are so short, and this is because Scott Cawthon made this movie by himself. At least as far as I can tell, which is insane to me. Keep in mind, this was back in 2004, when 3D animation, especially in the hands of your average Joe, was kind of in its infancy still. The first full-length animated film, Toy Story, was only 9 years before. So to make a 50-minute film on your own is a pretty cool feat. That being said, this movie's terrifying. I've only just seen this movie, but it already has a special place in my heart. That being said, it's also got a special place in my nightmares. There is very little spoken dialogue throughout the entire feature. In fact, I think Noah has like 3 lines max. That, plus the awkward human movements, the repetitive music, the harsh shadows, and the empty landscapes, this results in a very liminal film. It also doesn't help that the biblical flood was a very intense Old Testament story. The movie attempts to keep it lighthearted with the cutesy characters and silly jokes strewn about, but I'm starting to think we can see the early seeds being sown for what would eventually become Scott's magnum opus. The liminal locations, harsh lighting, and inhuman characters are all staples of his later work. It's honestly pretty inspiring to see someone take what would be considered flaws in one area and turn it into strengths in another. Maybe we should all take a page out of Scott's book. If you're struggling in a desert portion of your life, maybe you just need to find a new perspective, a new avenue for your God-given talents, because we sure know it worked out for Scott. Now, there is one last issue with the film. Who was that guy at the start and the end? The guy in the frozen tundra who came to and left the ark before and after the main events of the film. It almost felt like a brief set piece just to extend the already relatively short film. Easily, the film could have been set up and concluded in the past during the actual events of the main story. But Scott chose to use this set piece. Now, I'm not entirely sure what its purpose was, but you know what I think it is? I think this man in the tundra, is Scott. You see, in 2004, Mr. Cawthon would have been about 26. Not long after your brain and body have finally completed developing. Scott was leaving his childhood years behind, and with this film, he was visiting the Ark, and even more broadly, the Bible as a whole in this portion of his life. But as we saw at the end of the film, he didn't live on the Ark. He stayed one night and left. Scott spent a few years using his love for the word to build up his talents before moving to a more successful career path, and it really is admirable. And as far as I'm aware, he's still a Christian to this day. Now, is that what young Cawthon intended when he made this silly 2004 animated Christian film? Probably not, but it's a fun thought. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you making it to the end. Don't leave yet! Thank you to my channel members, Intrepid and Bold and Unchanging Jimmy. Means the world for the support. And yeah, hopefully I'll be making more videos soon. Please join the Discord if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram if you want. And yeah, that's basically it. God made you special, and he loves you very much.